Hi everybody, welcome to the second in the series of videos I'll make addressing specific points having to do with the writing of Essay 1. Today I am going to use one of the first drafts turned in last Thursday as a model, and thank you goes out to the author of this. If you wish to identify yourself in comments or whatever, feel free. This is a very rough draft. It's not the first full draft, but I raised questions for this writer about how she might develop this into a strong first draft, and I'll walk you through a few things. I'm going to spend some time talking about the title, because the title is a tool that ought to really be connected to the thesis, the core argument, and we can think of it as a tool for creating focus in the reader's mind, and as you draft too, revise, draft, play around with different possibilities for your title, and think of it as a tool to create focus in your mind. So let's actually begin with the title. So presently, Extinction and Rebirth is the title. So that is very broad. It names a couple of very broad concepts. It's a little vague. And if you present this to a reader who doesn't know anything about our class, what we've been doing, it doesn't tell them a whole lot. So for all of you, my advice is going to be the same. Get specific. Get particular. So I note that here. I note that with academic writing in particular, it's good to identify the subject of your analysis. So one move, just to firm it up a little bit, might simply be to name the film, Genesis 2.0, Extinction or Rebirth, or Extinction and Rebirth in Genesis 2.0. This makes it a lot more specific. All of a sudden, it's about a specific film. Now, ideally, as you develop your essay, your title can begin to preview your argument, contain your argument in a small little nutshell, as it were. As we'll see, this writer arrives at something like a thesis, a claim she's making about the film, on page 3 of this draft. One thing she could do is to work that argument into her title, and a rough idea for that might be rewriting God in the Anthropocene, arrogant dreams of bringing the mammoth back. And again, using this title and then colon, sometimes it's called a subtitle method, which you see a lot in academic writing in particular. Now, this is just one possibility of many, and I don't think it's the best title that this essay could have. I want the writer herself to come up with her best title, but I do want to show you all how you can think about the title as a tool for sharpening your focus. As you go through drafts, as you think things through, return to that title and sharpen it up. That exercise alone of having to think in a concentrated form, just a few words about what it is you're getting at, can then help you improve the rest of the essay too. This motion back and forth between, say, the body of your essay as you're drafting it and hashing it out and revising and then rethinking, okay, what is this really about, and how can I really grab my reader's attention? I note here that you can't put everything in a short title. So in this instance, rather than include the film title, I suggest the possibility of working in an aspect of what I think this writer's thesis is. Right? And that thesis is based on a good interpretation of the scene that she's looking at from this film. Now, since we're talking about how to begin things, and I don't mean begin what will be the reading experience for your reader. And remember, your audience doesn't know this film, doesn't know maybe anything much about the Anthropocene. And so you're going to have to help get them into it. This writer makes a great move, a move that is necessary somewhere in this essay, giving us the genre we're in, documentary, the name of the film. It would be great to have the year here, by the way. And she names the director, Christian Frey, right, and his collaborator, Maxim Abgeev. She tells us that they're Swiss and Russian. That's great. These are, relevant and important details. But you judge for yourself as a reader. What gets you into an essay? Is it the kind of information that you might find, in the credits or on a Wikipedia page? I mean, I could go to Wikipedia, right? And I'd get that information perhaps in the first line of the Wikipedia entry. Are you writing a Wikipedia entry? I don't think you are. You're writing an essay and you want to draw and focus your attention and your reader's attention on something specific. So, I note here that this is great information to include, but what can we find from the material this writer's working with that we could bring up and put in front of the reader that would really grab their attention, right? Again, I'm not saying this is the best idea. And in fact, I'm not giving this person what I think might be a better idea because I want her to do that work. It's a good possibility. So consider this as the first sentence of this essay. Quote, "We will realize that dream," Dr. Young says, standing in the lobby of the Shenzhen headquarters of BGI. That's a little awkward. I'm going to rewrite this. "We will realize that dream," Dr. Yang says, standing in the Shenzhen BGI headquarters lobby, "that a baby mammoth will just come from the lab." All right. So there you have it, right? That's pretty weird. It sounds almost like, right, Jurassic Park or something. We're going to bring this mammoth to life in the lab. It's long extinct. And you've got kind of a mad scientist figure that you can play with right away. That in terms of engaging your reader, you've got a story, a narrative, a hook. And then you can move into your essay and then give us that, information early, but not right away, not in the first sentence, that information about who made the film and so forth, right? But I'm going to scroll down, to show you a few other things. This is a great little screenshot, right? We see Dr. Young, right, and Grigoriev. Look at Young, he's very happy. And he says, "We can make God perfect." That's quite a claim. To some people, it would be deeply offensive, to people who are particularly religious. And even if you're not particularly religious, it might strike you as arrogant, which is precisely what this writer says. Right? Now, this is page 3 of this draft, and she's just working out her thinking here. This is not a full draft. But, she notes that she has a couple things, right? She's at this point bringing up the Anthropocene, and she says we've started to lose awe for life, and that this leads to a kind of arrogant, swaggering, and pretentious attitude towards other species and the idea of God itself, right? I think that's a good argument. I think that I can see that this scene is opening that up as something that a viewer might get out of this scene and perhaps the film, right? This question of, are we arrogant to play God? Have we lost some connection with the world, with Earth, with living things? we're living things, but do we feel separate from the rest of life in a way that we feel we are entitled to manipulate it and control it? And is that a problem that is specific to the Anthropocene? Hell yeah, we're there. That's a cool argument. Let's get it into the title. Let's move it up. And it doesn't have to be the 5-paragraph essay model where you have your single sentence thesis statement at the end of your first paragraph. But let's get that argument in front of the reader right away, because it's a compelling, strong, interesting argument. And it's a great question and a big, important one. If we're transforming the world with our technology in ways that we don't intend, and also beginning to think about doing it in ways that we intend, terraforming intentionally, manipulating life even more intentionally than we have in the past. And keep in mind, of course, my dog, Dobao, come here. Dobao. Anyway, my dog, he's evidence of breeding, right? We've been manipulating life for a long time, but to bring back an extinct species, BGI would bring back my dear little Dobao in the future so I could have, many clones of this dog, But that's quite a bit different than the mammoth. Anyway, I found a way to bring my dog into this, of course. He's being stubborn and not showing his face. But I'll bring him back for future videos. All right? Gonna clone millions and millions of copies of this dog. Gonna turn the Anthropocene into the Dobao-ocene. Watch.
And when it's crying, it's very